the Mishnah has two tibulim. Hevilufon metabel b'chazeres, and Rashi says ein sham yerek acher. So he has no other vegetable. He only has chazeres, and ad shemagil parperes hapas, which means he brought out the matzah, and now with the matzah they brought out a second chazeres. And on that second chazeres, he makes the bracha al achilas marror. And the first tibul is for the purpose of heker l'tinokos. And that's based on the fact that people don't usually do tibul before the meal. Why not just simply eat the first kizayis of Marror for the sake of the mitzvah, and at the same time he'll kill two birds with one stone, because he'll also be mekayim the heker l'tinokos. Why are you doing tibul before the meal? And the Rashbam answers this question by saying that since the pasuk says al matzah sumrom yochluhu, matzah, and then after the words Marror, therefore he will not be yotzei with the first tibul, the mitzvah of chazeres, but rather with the second tibul after the matzah. And now the question is, what happens if he only has one kizayis of Marror? Should he eat that for the first tibul and achieve the heker l'tinokos? He will therefore forfeit the kiyum of having the Marror before the matzah, meaning he'll forfeit the kiyum of having the matzah first and then the Marror by eating the Marror first. Or should he eat the Marror after the matzah, and in that sense he will forego the heker l'tinokos? So what's more important, heker l'tinokos or the seder of al matzah sumram yochlu? So we're going to look now on page Kuf Sadi Gimel. O space. Omer Shlokish. Also meres mitzvah srichas kavod. The Isal kedak mitzvah slobinan kavona lamalon trei tibule v'atabile chad zimna. He already did his tibul on the first round, and he was yotzei the mitzvah of Marror because mitzvahs einam srichas kavona. So the answer has to be that he was not yotze with the first tibul because mitzvah srichas kavan. Nimai. So the Gemara argues that's not approved. Dilma liola mitzvah say srichas kavana u'dekarma trei tibul ilonali ki hechiv levi heker l'tinokos. So at this point, the Gemara seems to backtrack on its original premise that the first tibul is enough to arouse the curiosity of the children. And now the Gemara thinks that we need two tibulim in order to achieve heker l'tinokos. Then the Gemara raises the following question: if Yitemim came l'shmeina and shar yerokos, why not teach me this chiddush that you need the second tibul for heker in a situation where he has vegetables for the first tibul? Why does the Mishnah push itself into that scenario where he doesn't have any yerek, he only has chazeres? And the Gemara says, "Yashmin in shayirokos, havamina hechadi ika shayirokos, hu devein and trei tibule." We would think that if he has other yerokos, then he does two tibulim. We would not know the chiddush that chazeres l'chuda, that even if he only has one vegetable, that's chazeres, he still needs two tibulim. We would have suggested that if he only has chazeres, then he can be yotze with one tibul. Kamash Malan, Mishnah wants to teach us that he needs a second tibul in order to achieve heker l'tinokos. Now, until this point, we presented Rashi, the Rashbam, the Ran, Tosa Rosh. They all hold that according to Reish Lakish, the Heker would be in the first Tibul because it comes before the Suda. And therefore the Gemara asks, if the old mitzvah Saint Shrichas Kavana, he can be Mekayim both Hekera and the mitzvah Marror with the first Tibul. Why does he need the second Tibul? Now, according to the Amudei Hod, we should derive from this the conclusion that Heker Tinokos takes precedence over Seder, Mitzvahs, Matzah, and then Mitzvahs Marror. Because Reish Lakish was building his proof on the kasha, why do you need a second tibul? He never asked, why do you need the first tibul? Because even if the first tibul would serve that double function, the double capacity, and would also be a kima machilas maror, nevertheless, it could also at the same time serve as a heker l'tinokos. And that's why Reish Lakish asked, Tibul Sheni Lamali. And even though the obvious answer to Reish Lakish's question could be, well, let's get matzah first and then maror second. Say there, matzos umaror. Apparently, Reish Lakish is more interested in heker l'tinokos, which will be achieved by eating before the meal in the first tibul, even at the expense of forfeiting the seder of matzos umaror. So that's all as far as Reish Lakish is concerned. But now, the Gemara itself is going to defend the Mandi Omer that says mitzvahs ain't tzrichas kavana. And the Gemara is now going to shift the Hakera from Tibul Rishon to Tibul Sheni. So although he has fulfilled his mitzvah Marror with the first Tibul, he needs a second Tibul for Hakera l'tinokos because Balayla zeh shtei pa'amim. So it means that if you hold mitzvahs ain't tzrichas kavana, then the Hakera is not achieved through Hakdoma Sayerik L'Suda, but rather we need a second Tibul for Hakera. And now we're going to look at Os Gimel on the bottom of Kuf Tzadi Gimel. The Gemara asks him, "Kain lishmi'inon b'shar yerokos." If you're holding mitzvah saying tzrichas kavana, why just completely circumvent this strange scenario where he doesn't have any yerokos? And the Gemara explains, "Kamash v'lan tiafilu b'chazeres b'inon trei tibule." So it means that if it would have framed the halacha in a case where he has shal yerokas, you might have mistakenly come to the conclusion that if he only has chazeres as his yerek, that's his only single yerek that's accessible to him, you might think that one tibul is enough. He needs trei tibule for heker l'tinokos. And now the Amudei Hod raises the following question: L'chora tzarich biur ma hikshu. I don't understand the Gemara's kash. Here we turn to Kuf Tzadi Dal. Hatuva kamashmo. There are Salkedaita b'chazeres sagi b'tibul rishon. Umay parach lishmeinon b'shar yirakos. What was Gemara's kasha here? That the Mishnah could have dropped this very strange scenario where he only has one yerek and that's chazeres. Why not if he has other yirakos? And although with the first yerek he was makayim the mitzvah of Marror, well, let me say it a different way, because now we're asking. Let's say he has a yerek other than Marror, then we mistakenly entertain the possibility that if he had chazeres, all he would need is one tibul. So we need that extra chiddush. If the Mishnah would have been framed in a case where he has other yirakos, we would not know the chiddush that in an event that he only has chazeres, he still needs a second tibul. Because we would have entertained the idea that maybe the first tibul is enough. The Rashban explains the Gemara's kasha is based on Seder HaMitzvos, which means that the matzah has to come first, and then the Marror second. And that's greater, that trumps the requirement of Heker L'Tinokos. And therefore, let him just suffice with Tibul Sheni. Because Tibul Sheni, he has a Kiyuv of Seder Matzos and then Marror. So he's going to forfeit that Keril Tinokos and drop the first tibul for the sake of being makdim matzah tomorrow. I don't understand exactly why Yasarak Tibul Sheni. Why not achieve Hekera by having a Tibul before the Suda? In any event, Vehine, now he says, V'tirat HaGemara at the end of this paragraph, the Svirle, the Heker Adif al Seder Mitzvahs Marror, Matzos Marror. So therefore, if Heker is Adif, he's got to have a Tibul Rishon. And if he only has Chazeres, it means that he's forfeiting the Kedima of Matzah before Mark. V'hine lefi mashe Pirush Rashbam nechleku reish lakish uman yom mitzvahs ein tzrichos go b'tarti aleph b'malhus ha-heker, where the heker is with the first tibul before the suda, or the heker is the double tibul, and number two b'achra ma odif heker o seder. So let's start with Aleph. Aleph is Malhus HaHeker. Reish Lakish, the Akdama is itself the Heker. According to the other man, the Omer, it's the Trei Zimni, Halayla Zeh Shtei Pa'amim. That's the Heker. And in addition, there's another machlokas here regarding the question which is more important, heker or seder, matzah, and then maror. Reish Lakish holds that it's the seder of matzah before maror that is adif, and his phantom or anonymous bar plukta is of the opinion that heker is adif. So all this is basically the Rashbam, and now we move on to the Ran and the Tosa Rosh. They understood the kasha in a different way. Reish Lakish holds that the heker is the first tibul before the meal, and the bar plukta of Reish Lakish, who holds mitzvahs ein shvichas kavana, he's of the opinion that the heker is with the two tibulim. Why doesn't Reish Lakish accept that other opinion? Ein nira l'Reish Lakish lefarish haliba the idach man diomar defidush lemasisu lashmeina the kera who betrayed tibuli. Or alternatively, ein nira l'Reish Lakish lashmeina tana dino bechazeres kidei lamdenu delo plu. Right, that the bar pluta Reish Lakish is teaching us the din of chazeres based on lo plu. In other words, lo plug meaning that we're not going to differentiate between a case where he has another vegetable as opposed to a case where he only has chazer. Al zeh parech the lashmeinan dina the tibul b'shar yerakos. You could have framed the Mishnah, could have framed the case of he has access to other yerakos. Tibozeh miskayem adin lechatchila. So if all things are ideal and perfect, he'll do tibul rishon b'shar yerakos, and he'll achieve the seder by eating the marror in tibul sheni after the matzah. Balzet tirates, they don't chinami he gufa kamashmon, the heker who betrayed tibule, and the heker is achieved through the second tibul, or according to the Rosh, lo pluk. Umetabel gam bechazeres tibul sheni. The old Pirush Ran, the Kamashma de Kera Odif, I'll say there, the Salkadak coming to say there, Odif Yasarak Tulyom. Okay, I think we accomplished a lot. And hopefully we'll see another possibility tomorrow. Let's just make a note of where we got up to here. The Hine Lipirusham. See if we can put a little petak here. Okay then. So I wish you a great day. And hopefully the internet will be more, sympathetic in future occasions. Today was really a rough breakdown, sort of.
Yeah, as soon as there's any water, things don't work as well.
Right. Especially in the
All right.
shul, we have had a few occasions.
Yeah.
All right.